Hello everybody and welcome to my Seeker character guide. Her passive Inner Strength grants you buffs based on the number of Tranquility stacks gained from her special. More on that in a bit. Her primary Spirit Punch is a ranged 3-attack combo dealing 200% damage in a small area for the first 2 casts and 300% with greatly increased area on the third. For secondaries, she has 2 options. The first is Unseen Hand, her default, which after targeting the ground at any distance deals 600% damage in an area, stunning enemies and healing you for each target hit. It seems to also have a cap to the number of enemies hit, but the cap also seems to be variable, anywhere from 8 to 10. Her alternate secondary is Soul Spiral, which can be unlocked by hitting 3 targets simultaneously while airborne with your third primary combo. Soul Spiral is charge-based, holding 3 by default, and attaches an orb, which rotates around you with every use. Each orb deals 100% damage and grants some barrier every time they strike an enemy, with a max of 6 orbs active at once. The rotation speed of the orbs is not impacted by your attack speed, but rather in 2 ways. First, if you cast the ability again with 6 orbs already out, it instead grants all of the orbs massively increased rotation speed, and second, your own movement speed. The faster you move, the more potential hits you get. The second point here can easily be seen when moving counterclockwise around your target. Simply moving counterclockwise instead of clockwise grants about a 2 to 3 times increase to hit rate, it's kind of hard to tell, and thus increase to overall damage. You know, like Train A and Train B are both approaching one another at different speeds, like what's their relative speed and all that stuff. Finally, the orbs do not expire based on time, but rather after a certain number of hits. You can think of this like each orb having its own HP bar, which goes down a bit after every hit that it lands. An orb that is glowing yellow rather than green is on its last hit and actually deals 200% damage instead of 100. Pretty interesting. Her utility, Sojourn, grants you flight and immunity to all damage for its entire duration, but after 2 seconds, it drains 20% of your health per second and reduces all the healing that you receive until it is cancelled. Note that the self-damage is the only source of damage that you can take while in Sojourn, and can be mitigated by things such as repulsion armor, rose bucklers, the Jade Elephant equipment, and of course healing items like Weeping Fungus. However, note that the healing reduction it gives you continues to go down over time. The speed at which you fly while in Sojourn is based on your current health percentage, not your movement speed. The lower your health, the slower you move. The ability can either be manually or automatically cancelled. You simply press the button again to manually cancel, or you can automatically do it by colliding with terrain or reaching the health threshold of 10%. Finally, once cancelled, Sojourn deals damage in an area, dealing more damage based on how long it was active. Lastly, her special Meditate grants a small amount of barrier instantly and then, as its name would imply, puts you in a Meditate where you must complete a 5-step QuickTime event using your movement keys. Should you fail, Meditate is immediately cancelled with no further effect, but if you succeed, you are granted a small heal, deal damage in an area, and are granted 1 stack of Tranquility, up to a max of 7 stacks. Tranquility does a few things. Strap yourselves in, boys, here we go. First, it buffs each of your abilities per stack. For your primary, the third hit gets an increase to damage, capping at a 50% increase with all 7 stacks. For your base secondary, the Fist, it grants increased healing with about a 6 times increase at all 7 stacks. For your alternate secondary, the Orbs, it grants each orb more hits before expiration, doubling the base of 10 to 20 at 7 stacks. For your utility, it grants increased blast radius. I can't really tell by how much, but it seems to be about double. And for your special, it grants increased damage, doubling it at 7 stacks. Now, that's just how Tranquility interacts with your abilities. It also grants you a 7% increase to all stats, but only upon reaching max stacks. You do not gain 1% stats per stack of Tranquility. You instead get the full 7% increase only when you hit the max of 7 stacks. The third and final function of Tranquility is the addition of the Golden Leaf buff to your bar. While you have this leaf, you not only have that 7% increase to all stats, as just mentioned, but you also gain a free global revive to any other player in your party. And it's not any ally, it's just another player. It also grants you the option of Saving Grace, which is basically a mini elixir that heals you for 50% of your health once you drop to low life. Now, the reason I say the option is because once you use either the revive or the mini elixir, the Golden Leaf buff is removed, which unfortunately also removes that 7% stat increase. However, once you arrive at a new stage, you can then once again gain the Golden Leaf as normal. Alright, I know that was quite a bit of words, but now with that overview out of the way, let's talk about how to actually play the Seeker. Is she any good? Is she worth playing? Let me would just start with this. Since she only has one option in her loadout, use the balls. Just trust me. The fist is fine. The heal it grants you is pretty useful, and it's ranged, and it's not too difficult to land on flying enemies, but boys, the orbs are cracked out of their gosh darn minds. Because of what I mentioned earlier about the orbs dealing significantly more hits and thus overall damage when you simply move counterclockwise, they're really a no-brainer choice. The only downside to the balls is their lack of range. There's a joke in there somewhere, but that's where Sojourn comes into play. Remember, it lets you fly and gives you full immunity to damage outside of the HP degen. So for flying enemies, and really any enemy at all, just make sure that the balls are spinning, and then you just slam your utility and go whee! Spin around in some counterclockwise circles until everything goes.
But Woolie, Sojourn deals a ton of damage to you and decreases your healing, but that's why you just mitigate it.
And oh wait, silly me, I almost forgot to say that the balls also grant you barrier on hit. If you have just a single repulsion armor, chances are you're completely sustaining the degen from Sojourn early on, so long as you're hitting something and getting that juicy barrier as well. Now, the only exception that I would make to always choosing the orbs is when you're playing on Eclipse 8. If you did not know, Eclipse 8 reduces your maximum HP by 20% of the damage that you take, which obviously is a bit of a problem when you're dealing self-damage all the time. So for all of you Eclipsers out there, I would choose the fist over the ball. I would choose the fist over the orbs for that peace of mind. Now, again, if you get some mitigation, namely just a few stacks of repulsion armor, you can definitely rock the Sojourn balls combo on Eclipse 8 as well, but know that you're just hoping for that to happen rather than guaranteeing the safety of just taking the fist. Other than that, Seeker is pretty simple, and there's really just one thing left to do. Listen up closely and repeat after me. Meditate. Immediately. As soon as you enter a stage, press the ball button real quick, get them spinning around you, and then meditate as soon as it's off a cooldown and until you get the maximum of 7 stacks. Then you can pretty much never press it again outside of needing a quick little boost to barrier or a heal if your situation lets you finish the full dance combo. But seriously, just spam meditate until you hit 7 stacks. I know, it's annoying, but hey, you gotta get those hefty tranquility bonuses somehow, so just deal with it. Also, speaking of spamming, remember your orbs. Since their duration is not based on time, just spam the secondary until you have 6 of those little dudes spinning around you, and then remember to press it again once you actually go in for damage so that you get that extra speed boost while you rotate counterclockwise. That's right, you did it. Good job, I'm proud of you. And that's pretty much all there is to playing the Seeker. Enter a stage, use your orbs, spam meditate till you get max of 7 stacks, and then just find a scary dude, fly at him, and spin around him like a Beyblade until he's dead. That's it. Also, I should have mentioned this a bit earlier, but both your secondary and your special actually prevent fall damage, or just otherwise help you reach some ledge that's just barely out of reach. Finally, for some standout items to look for, it's really just repulsion armor, Wungus, and maybe a couple rose bucklers. These are just to mitigate the Sojourn damage. Otherwise, it's your standard good stuff as on every other survivor: double bands, ATGs, crit, watches, movement speed, the star. Oh boy, I love the star, boy. Sail star, let's go. Anyway, that's all you need to know about playing the Seeker. Good luck, and be on the lookout for my chef and false sun guides coming very soon. Thank you for watching.